just besides sitting at home watching CNN or Fox or whatever your pleasure is and just, making your head explode? What kinds of things would you recommend?
Well, here's the thing. For instance, you and your wife are quarantined in the house, about to drive each other crazy.
Sure.
I would say take some Lysol wipes or something, get in your car, wipe your car down, go for a drive.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you are just driving along, it kind of, you may drive past some of your favorite places. If you're here, you might drive down to the coast
Sure.
and take in that beautiful coastline or something.
Sure.
To just kind of relax yourself. And if you stay in your car,
Sure.
take all that in, come back home and walk through your front door, you have not increased your risk of getting the virus.
Okay.
So there are things you can do. And people, I don't really agree with going to the parks, because as soon as you get to the park and you run into people, you start, closing that distance. For if you just want to walk out, like if you just took a walk out into a field or something where there's no other contact, that you're not going to get the virus from that. The virus is not going to attack you from the air. But it's the social contact with other people that's very dangerous. So if you were going to do things where you're by yourself, and you make sure that you wipe down the things that you're going to be involved with and just take those precautions, keep your hands clean. You may want to put on rubber gloves. Well, you can't hardly find them now, but if you put on rubber gloves, that always reminds me to not touch my face or hands if you got gloves on.
Sure.
But, simple things like that you could do, and you would not be increasing your chance of getting the virus, because you're essentially still under quarantine.
Sure.
If you get in your car, wipe it down and drive around, you're not going to infect anybody, and nobody's going to infect you.
Sure.
So there are some common sense things, but initially when they put something like this out, they make it very extreme, to kind of get everybody's attention. And then, after everybody's attention, now they may say, okay, here's some things you can do, that are safe. But initially they just shut it down to get everybody's attention and to let everybody know how serious this whole thing really is.
And I guess lastly, Doc, just in terms of, at some point, everyone's going to have to go out to either pick up some medicine or some juice or something that the family critically needs. And so, again, I just wanted you to emphasize that if folks are at the Safeway or the Vons or wherever they get their food from, and they're in the line and no one is coughing and you're not touching other people, what is the likelihood that you will contract this particular virus?
Okay, well, the first thing you have to remember, if you're going to be in somewhere where a lot of people are, you have to keep in mind that everybody you see may be infected. They may have the virus.
That's correct.
So you want to wipe the cart down, because you're putting your hands on that cart when you push it.
That's correct.
It's nasty. You don't know who's touching those things,
right.
or what they have on their hands. Everybody's not going to be a hand cleaner. So sanitize your hands. Wipe your cart down.
Mm-hmm.
When you pick up stuff, as soon as you get back in the car, wipe your hands again.
That's right.
Because, you're going to be handling packages that people could be sneezing on, or the milk carton they could be sneezing on. All these things in the supermarket is going to be relatively cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, that virus is going to, going to hang on a little longer. So you just have to be real diligent and just making sure you keep yourself wiped down, keep those sanitizers going. When you get home, after you put everything away, wash your hands again, sanitize your hands, so that if something was on some of the packages or on the containers or something, that you make sure that you have to realize that somebody with the virus may have picked that up before you got it, put it back.
Sure.
So it's infected. So how can you protect yourself? You wash your hands, you wash it off, wash your hands afterwards, and then you should be fine. It's not impossible to do. It's just we have to be vigilant.
Sure.
And you have to think. You have to be using your mind. Think as you walking through there. With somebody may have picked this up to look at it, see how much it was, and put it back, and then here you grab it with your hand. You got now the virus on your hand.
Sure.
What are you going to do about that? You got to sanitize your hands maybe a couple times. I keep it in my front pocket, and so when I touch something, I just take a little squirt, and wash my hands off, or sanitize my hands.
Sure.
So you just have to realize that, and like I said, if you keep in mind that everybody in there may be infected and you don't want to get it, so you just, be very vigilant about sanitizing your hands, washing things off, and getting back to the house as soon as you can to take yourself out of that dangerous area. Make sure some people say you should take your clothes off when you come in. I think that's a little extreme, but you could change into something, put that stuff in the washing room or the laundry room,
sure,
just so that the possibility of infecting yourself is going to be at a minimum.
Sure.
And if you do that, you'll be
sure. Well, Dr. Albright, sure. Well, Dr. Albright, as always, you have given out a tremendous amount of valuable information this evening, and you've just really alleviated, I know, some of my concerns, and I hope that our audience listening internationally and locally and nationally, I hope that some of their fears were alleviated as well as getting some good information about crowds and washing hands and just some things that you can do as your jurisdiction tells you to shelter in place or to limit your exposure to this place or that place and the other, so that we can get through this together. But Dr. Albright, thank you so much again for being on the show, and we always enjoy having you here, getting your expertise and your opinion on things. And did you have any final comments for the audience?
I have one more comment, and that
Yes,
was
sir.
to Phil.
Yes,
and
sir.
This relates, he says, how do we know this virus is going to go away like the other viruses?
Sure.
I would have him to look at the cases now that they had in China where it started, and they're now saying that their numbers, they aren't getting any more cases, and that, the record of infection is way down. So in his question about how do we know, we follow what's happened already, history of this virus, what it's done. And so far, it's mimicking what we expect it to do. So that might be a little comfort to him, knowing that if he looks how it started in China and the spike went way up and now it's down, that kind of indicates to us that this virus is going to be like the other ones, and we can expect a relief as time goes on and it gets warmer.
Sure. And I know Phil is in the Prince George's County, Maryland area of the East Coast, and of course they had a couple of cases.
Right?
Yes, indeed. And I know they had a couple of cases that popped up there, and their leadership there is getting on top of those things, and I'm sure that they are asking the folks in that area, the DMV, to do similar things, what you're seeing in New York and California and so forth. And we just implore everyone to follow the directions of the healthcare and officials of your jurisdiction. If they're telling you not to go to the playgrounds in numbers, please don't do it. If they're telling you to shelter in place, please do it. Follow the directions of the health and local leaders, and that will be the way that eventually we will get through all of this. So again, Dr. Albright, thank you so much for your insight, for the information that you provided to us. And folks, once again, we appreciate you allowing us to give it to you straight, no chaser. And for Thin Bad and Ambezi and Pastor C and myself, please stay healthy, stay safe, follow the directions, again, of your local officials, and we look to see you next week as we give it to you straight, no chaser. Bye. You've been listening to Straight, No Chaser. So join us next week for more hot topics. And also, you can always catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, iHeartRadio.